I'm so happy that you have joined me to practice today. This class is yoga for beginners. I want you to take a moment to thank yourself and to be proud of yourself for trying out yoga today. Trying something new, moving your body, finding what feels good, and experimenting a little bit. In this class, we will be learning the foundations of the practice. We will be learning the fundamental poses, such as downward dog, child's pose, and warrior two. We will be connecting in with our breath. We will be noticing how the poses feel in our body. We will be observing our thoughts as they come up and as they leave. Let's start in Shavasana. So we will start lying on our back. Shavasana is corpse pose, which means that we are lying on our back, legs extended long, arms extended long as well, taking up lots of space on your yoga mat. So you can have your feet towards the top corners of your mat, your arms out wide along the sides of your body, your head rests down onto the mat. Make sure that you are comfortable. So if it feels better for you, you can bend your knees. Soles of the feet come down onto the mat. If it feels uncomfortable, another option is for you to lie down onto your side or to lie onto your belly. There's always different options for each pose. So take time to find what works good for you and how you are feeling today. Let's all take a really big breath in and then exhale through the mouth. Really big breath in. Exhale through the mouth once again, sigh it out. Once more, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then just starting to breathe in and out through your nose if you can. Otherwise, if you are used to breathing through your mouth, you can do that as well. That is fine. The beautiful thing about yoga is it doesn't matter if you are flexible, it doesn't matter if you are in shape, whatever that means to you. It doesn't matter if you are strong, healthy. It doesn't matter if you have practiced yoga for 10 years or for 2 weeks. Yoga will meet you exactly where you are. It doesn't matter if you can touch your toes. What matters is that you have shown up on your mat, that you are willing to try, that you have taken this time out of your day for yourself. Let's take just a few more big breaths here before we begin to move. Can you notice how it feels to breathe deeply? Can you you send your breath deep into your belly. Inhale all the way. And exhale all the way. Inhale fully. Exhale completely. One more breath. Begin to now wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then gradually bring both knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees, around your legs. And if you would like to, you can rock a little bit from side to side, massaging out your spine, your back a little bit. Let's now extend the left leg long and keep the right knee in towards the chest. Your hands come around the right knee. Very gently guide the right knee closer in towards your chest. And allow the left leg to be engaged and nice and long on your mat. Inhale to find a little bit more space. And exhale to settle into the pose. Inhale to draw the knee closer towards your chest. And exhale to come fully into the pose, whatever that looks like for you. Let's now begin to draw the right knee towards the right shoulder. So we're just moving the knee a little bit out towards the right side. If you're feeling tight and stiff, maybe sore, you'll keep the right knee more towards center. And if you're feeling like you can go farther in the pose, you can bring the knee more towards the right side. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. Allow both shoulders to rest down onto the mat. Feel both hips resting down. The shoulders come down away from the ears. And the head is heavy onto the mat. Let's bring the knee back to center. Give it one final squeeze towards the chest. And then release it long. Switch sides. So your left knee comes in, right leg is extended out long. Hands wrap around the left knee to very gently bring it closer in towards your chest. Notice if you're holding some tension in your jaw, maybe in your forehead, maybe in your shoulders, or even in your hands as you're holding onto the left knee. As we stay in this pose for a little bit longer, are you able to relax and release some of that tension? Can you extend the right leg a little bit longer onto your mat so the heel comes further towards the top of your mat? Good. Let's now take the left knee towards the left shoulder. Staying more towards center if you're feeling quite tight and stiff. Or if you are looking for more of a stretch, you can bring it further out towards the left side. If it is comfortable for you, at any point in your yoga practice, you are welcome to close your eyes. This can help you to turn your focus and your attention inwards, going a little bit deeper into your practice. One more breath here. Let's bring that knee back towards center for one final squeeze. Extend that leg long on your mats, back into that Shavasana, corpse pose. Arms long, legs long. Now hug both knees into your chest, arms wrap around the legs just like we did before. If you like, you can rock from side to side. From here, extend your arms out into a T. So the arms reach out to either side, left and right. Legs will be at about 90 degrees. You'll release the legs over towards the right. So bringing the legs down towards the ground on the right. You can look up to the ceiling, or you can look to the left. Make sure that wherever you are looking is comfortable for your neck though. And if your legs do not reach the ground, you can place a pillow or a blanket, a folded up blanket, underneath your legs. Allow both shoulders to rest down onto the mat. Allow your body to feel grounded. Feel your yoga mat and the ground beneath you supporting you. Let's now come back to center. Legs come up, keeping the arms as they are, and just release the legs over towards the left-hand side now. And once again, it's your choice whether you want to look up to the ceiling, right up to center, or if you want to turn your head to look over towards the right hand. Once again, on this side, if your legs aren't touching the ground, you can rest them on a folded up blanket or a pillow. Inhale fully and exhale completely, letting that air go, softening into this twist. This is called a supine twist. Supine meaning that we are on our back in the twist. Let's now release, come back to center with the legs. Wrap the arms around the legs one more time. Rock from side to side or stay still. It's up to you. Now come over onto the right hand side and stay here for a couple of breaths. breathing in and breathing out. Using your hands to come up to a seat and then come into a tabletop position. So you'll be on all fours on your mat. Allow your hands, your shoulders to be over your wrists and your hips to be over your knees. Make sure your fingers are spread nice and far apart. In many of the yoga poses that we do, we want the fingers to be spread apart so that we have a good support for the wrists. So from here, press down into the fingers, into the pads of your fingers. Feel the knees grounding into the mat. Feel the hands grounding into the mat. Feel grounded in your tabletop. Let's arch the spine. Inhale, lift the tailbone, lift the crown of your head, look up. And exhale to round, moving into some cats and cows. Round your spine, look down towards your mat. Inhale to lift up through the tailbone, the heart, the crown of the head. Exhale to round. The crown of the head is the top of your head. Inhale to arch into cow. And exhale into cat. So cat is the rounded position and cow is the arched position. Let's do a few more. From tabletop, let's now bring the big toes together, the knees a little bit farther apart, and sit back towards the feet into child's pose. The arms are resting out in front of us on the mat. Forehead comes to the mat. And once again here, you can also rest your head onto a pillow or folded blanket if it doesn't reach the mat. Anytime during your practice that you would like to come back to this position, back to child's pose, feel free to. This is your practice, this is your time, so do what is right for you. Let's now come up into tabletop. Walk the hands a little bit out in front of you from your tabletop. Tuck your toes under. Fingers are spread nice and far apart. And lift the hips up towards the ceiling for downward facing dog. Now in your downward facing dog, you can have the legs bent. You can have the heels off of the mat. You're looking towards your feet at the back of your mat. Allow the hips to lift up towards the ceiling. Allow the arms to be straight and strong. Allow the spine to lengthen out from the upper back and also the neck all the way down to the lowest part of your spine. Let's come down onto our knees and come back to tabletop. Stay here for just a moment. With the toes tucked under, see if you can lift the knees just to a hover. So the knees are rising low towards the ground. Fingers are still spread nice and far apart. We're in a hovering tabletop. Let's release and come back to downward facing dog. So toes tucked under, lift the hips up and back. Legs can be as bent as you need them to be. Hips high to the sky. Let's now walk the feet to the top of the mat to our hands. Knees are bent here. Drape your torso over your thighs. Opposite hand to opposite elbow. So you're resting on your legs, your knees are super bent. Your head is dangling down towards the ground. You're thinking about releasing any tension around your neck, your shoulders. Find more space between your shoulders and your ears. One more breath. Bend your knees as much as you need to in this pose. Let's now begin to straighten the legs just a little bit more as we bring the hands to the shins. Lengthen out your spine and gaze a little bit in front of you. Pull your heart, pull your chest forward towards the wall in front of you. Extend your spine back behind you, your hips back behind you. And then fold back down. Find your forward fold. Opposite hand to opposite elbow. Bend your knees as much as you would like. Drape down over your thighs. This is our forward fold. We come back to this pose many times throughout a yoga practice. Halfway lift, so we bring the hands onto the shins once again. Heart comes forward, hips pull back gently. Can you press the hands more into the shins? And press the shins more into the hands. Now we're going to come all the way up to stand. So reach the arms up, inhale, and then hands come down to your heart center as you exhale. Again, inhale, arms reach up, look up towards the hands. Exhale, hands come down. Once more, inhale, reach up, hands come up. Arms come down, hands come down at heart center. Take a couple breaths here. Breathing in and out through the nose. Let's reach the arms up. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, forward fold over the legs. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Halfway lift, hands come onto the shins. Begin to straighten your legs a little bit more. And plant the hands down. Come into a tabletop position. So the knees come down. Fingers spread nice and far apart. Toes are tucked under. Lift your knees up into hovering tabletop. Release the knees and make your way back into downward facing dog. Hips lift up towards the ceiling. Press into each of your finger pads. Fingers spread nice and far apart. Think about bringing more weight into the thumb and index finger side of the hand. Really supporting the wrists here. Lift the hips a little bit more towards the ceiling. Find more length in your spine. Gaze forward, top of the mat. Make your way there, feet meet the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. So we're moving through some sun salutations. A little bit modified here. And then fold forward, over your legs, bending your knees. Come all the way up to stand, reach up, grow tall. Hands at heart center. Take a breath here. Inhale, reach up, grow tall. Exhale, fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms down. Step back into a plank. Bring your knees down. Take a breath here. Lower all the way down onto your belly. Hands underneath the shoulders. Lift up into a little baby cobra. So lifting the chest and the head up just a little bit. Lower down. 2 more times. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, come down. Inhale, lift up. Think about using the strength of your spine to lift. Pull your hands back to engage your triceps. Really working on the spinal strength. Lower down. Let's make our way into tabletop. And then coming into hovering tabletop, so toes tuck under. Lift the knees up to a hover. Set the knees down. Make your way into your downward facing dog. One big breath here. Make your way to the top of your mats. Inhale, halfway lift, hands on the shins. Lengthen out through the spine. Exhale to fold. Inhale to come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant the palms down, step back to plank, and then back to downward facing dog. Let's move into low lunge. So we'll step the right foot through in between the hands, taking as many steps as you need to make your way there. Release the back knee, your left knee down to the mat. And then when you're ready, hands come up to heart center. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. So you're not leaning forward like this or back like this. Your breath is smooth and steady. You're pressing some weight down into your right foot, your left knee, your left foot. You can stay here, or you can reach your arms up. One more breath. Let's bring the hands down to the mat, moving into half splits. So we'll begin to straighten the right leg. Inhale here, and it's okay if your leg isn't nice straight. Focus on keeping a nice long spine, so we're not rounded over like this. Hands come to the top of your mat, bending into the right knee, and step back into down dog. You can come through tabletop first, and then send the hips up and back into down dog. Let's try that on the other side. So left foot will step through in between the hands, taking as many steps as you need to get it there. Releasing the right knee down to the mat. And when you're ready, hands come together at heart center. And once again, shoulders over our hips. We're not leaning forward or back. We have equal weight in each of our feet. We feel grounded in this pose. Notice where you feel this pose in your body. Maybe you feel it in the top of your right thigh, your hip flexor. Maybe you feel it in the front of the thigh. Maybe if you're choosing to bring your arms up overhead now, you feel this in your shoulders. And if it feels too much for your shoulders, you can bring your hands back down. Let's bring the hands down to frame the foot and just start to see if we can straighten out the left knee just a little bit, walking the hands back. One breath here. It's okay if the leg isn't quite straight. Think about lengthening out through the spine just a little bit more. And then walking the hands forward, top of the mat. Step back into a tabletop. Hands, fingers spread nice and far apart. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. So downward facing dog is the pose that we always come back to in our flow yoga classes. Let's look forward to the hands. Make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold down over the legs. As always, bend your knees as much as you need. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Plant your hands down. Step back into plank. You can lower the knees down or keep them lifted. We'll hold here for a few breaths. In your plank, allow your shoulders to be over your wrists. Think about finding a long line from the very top of your head all the way back towards your heels if your knees are lifted, or towards your knees if your knees are on the mat. Let's find downward facing dog now. Send the hips back to the ceiling. Let's step now the right foot through between the hands once again, keeping the back knee lifted. Find crescent lunge. Reach the arms up, or you can have the hands at heart center. It's up to you. So you're on the ball of your back foot, the ball of your left foot. Your right knee is stacked over the ankle. It doesn't have to be directly over the ankle. It can be farther back. Try not to have the knee too far over the ankle like that. Also here, think about bringing the right knee further towards the right pinky toe rather than towards the right big toe. So align it out instead of in. Let's bring the hands down and step it back to down dog. Right away on the other side for crescent lunge, high lunge. Stepping the left foot through, rising up, shoulders over hips. Hands come together at heart center, or we can reach the arms up. It's up to you. So the back heel, the right heel is lifted high up off of the mat. You're not leaning forward, you're not leaning back. You're centered right over the hips. Feel your legs strong in this pose. Feel your legs support you. Allow the left knee to come a little bit more towards the left pinky toe instead of the left big toe. Let's bring the hands down now. Step back into down dog. Start to walk your hands back to your feet, back of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And from here, bring your hands to heart center in your halfway lift. So your spine is parallel to the ground. You have a slight bend in your knees. The crown of your head, the top of your head is reaching forward towards the wall that is in front of you. You can stay here, or you can reach your arms out into a T off to either side. Let's come all the way up to stand now. Reach your arms up, and hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Spine is about parallel to the ground. And then walk your hands out into a plank pose. Staying like this with the knees lifted, or releasing the knees down. It's up to you. Let's lower all the way down to the mat. We'll come into Sphinx Pose from here. So elbows are underneath the shoulders. You can have the feet as wide off towards the sides of your mat as you like. That can feel really nice for the low back. If this is feeling like too much of a stretch, too much of an opening through the chest and the back, just bring your arms further out in front of you. One more breath. Release down, bring one hand over top of the other and rest your forehead onto your hands. From here, extend your arms out into a T. And as you're ready, we'll lift everything up off of the mat. So the arms lift, the chest lifts, the legs lift, and the head lifts. Let's lower down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, 1 more breath. Lower down, 1 more time. When you're ready, you can begin. 2 breaths here. Lower down. Once again, make that pillow with your hands. So one hand over the other. Rest your forehead onto your hands. And if you would like to, you can bend your knees and take your legs from side to side, from left to right. Release your legs down if they were lifted. Hands come under the shoulders. Lift up into a tabletop. Make your way back into downward facing dog. Look forward to the top of your mat. Step your feet to meet your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold over the legs. Sit your hips low, reach your arms up high, come into chair pose. If this feels like too much for your shoulders, feel free to have your hands together at heart center. Allow your knees to be stacked over your ankles. Sit your hips a little bit lower. Lift up through your chest and through your heart more. Find more space through your shoulders and across your collarbones. Let's come up to stand. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale to fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let's step back into plank and back to down dog. Step the right foot through, come into that crescent lunge we did earlier. High lunge, it is also sometimes called. So the knees align over the ankle, arms can reach up, or hands can be together at heart center. You're on the ball of your back foot, the heels lifted up high. Let's bring the hands down, step back to down dog. 1 big breath here. We'll try that on the other side once again. Left foot steps through, shoulders stack over hips, arms up, or hands together at heart center. the heel of the back foot. The right foot is lifted. You're just on the ball of that foot. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. You're not leaning forward or back. You have equal weight in each foot. Let's bring the hands now down to the front of the mat. Frame the front foot and step back to down dog. Set the knees down to the mat into tabletop. Untucking the tops of the feet. Walk the hands up in front for puppy pose. So the hips will stay over the knees, like in tabletop. You'll rest the forehead down to the mat or onto your pillow or folded blanket. Allow the chest to come closer towards the mat. You'll likely be feeling a nice shoulder stretch. Maybe you feel this in your back, in your chest. One more breath here. Let's walk the hands in, find tabletop. Make your way back to downward facing dog. We have one more standing pose to do. We'll step the left foot through this time first, in between the hands, top of the mat. Again, taking as many steps as you need to make your way there. Come down onto the back foot, bringing it so it is about parallel to the back of your mat, and coming up to stand in your lunge. Once you're here, we can extend the arms out into a T off to either side. The left knee is stacked over the left ankle. And the back foot is angled in slightly, but is pretty much parallel to the back of the mat. We're looking towards the front fingertips, towards the left hand. But look back to your back hand, your right hand, and make sure that it is just as high up, lifted as your left arm. So oftentimes in this pose, we have the front arm like this and the back arm is down low. We want them both lifted up high. This pose is Warrior 2, and it is the foundation of many of our other yoga postures. Let's bring the hands now down, frame the left foot, and step back into your downward facing dog. Notice how your body is feeling at this point in the practice. Let's do this on the other side. So I'm just going to turn so I can face you. We'll have the right foot in between the hands. You can take as many steps as you need to get it there. The left foot is about parallel to the back of the mat. Shoulders stack over the hips. Front knee stacks over that ankle. Arms extend out to either side. Look towards the right hand. And then just for a moment, look towards the back hand. Make sure that it is lifted just as high as the right hand. Bend a little bit deeper into your knee, your right knee if you can. We'll just be here for one more breath. Notice how strong you feel in this pose. Bring your hands down to frame your foot. Come back to plank for just a moment, back to downward facing dog. I'm just going to turn around. You can stay where you are in your downward dog. Take one more breath. And then lower the knees down, come to child's pose. Big toes together, knees a bit further apart from where they were in tabletop, and sit the hips down onto the heels, arms out in front of you, forehead down to the mat or onto that blanket or pillow. You can bend the arms as much as you like. Have a nice bend in the elbows. Let's walk the hands over now towards the right side for a side body stretch. So you can bring the arms, the hands, as much over towards the right side as feels comfortable for you. Maybe they come off of the mat. It's okay if the forehead is not resting on the ground. Think about sitting the hips down onto the feet a little bit more. Let's walk the hands back to center and walk them over towards the left side now. Resting the forehead down onto the mat or keeping it lifted. Feel more space all along the right side body. Come back to center and one more breath in your child's pose. And then come to find a seated position, cross-legged. Make sure you're comfortable. You're welcome to sit on your blanket or your pillow if you are using that. We'll reach the arms up, inhale. Exhale, bring the right hand to the left knee and the left hand out behind you. Begin to look over the left shoulder as you come into your seated twist. Inhale to grow taller and exhale to settle in and relax. We'll take 2 more breaths before we release and switch sides. Good, let's come back up to center and reach the arms up. And then bring the left hand to the right knee, right hand out behind you. Look over the right shoulder. Find more length in your spine, sitting up nice and tall, shoulders over the hips. Inhale to twist a little bit more, and exhale to settle in. Draw both of your shoulders down away from your ears. One more breath. Let's come back to center. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Let's begin to walk the hands out in front for a seated forward fold. So you can stay here with the hands, you can stay as lifted as you like, or maybe you're walking the hands out a little bit further. Maybe you rest the forehead down onto the pillow or blanket. Relax your shoulders down away from the ears. Feel your lower body be grounded and heavy onto the ground. And if your forehead is able to rest onto something, also feel your forehead can breathe a little bit deeper. Let's walk the hands back up. Inhale, reach up, and then bring the right hand down. Reach the left arm up and over for a side bend. So similar to what we did in Child's Pose, since that was also a side bend. You can rest the elbow of your right arm down. If you would like to, you can look up toward the top elbow if you would like. Let's inhale, reach the arms back up, come to center, and then switch. Left hand comes down, maybe the left elbow comes down. You can walk the left hand further out to the side if you like. And you can look up towards the top elbow as well if you like. One more full breath here. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, hands come down. Let's walk the hands out once again. Seated forward fold from this cross-legged position. Walk the hands back in. Let's switch the cross of our legs and fold one more time. When you're ready, walking the hands out. As much or as little as you like, maybe their forehead rests down onto something. 2 more breaths. And perhaps you notice how this pose is feeling for you in this moment. What is coming up for you as we sit and breathe in this shape? Let's come back up and make your way down onto your back. From here, we'll take Happy Baby. So you'll bring the knees into your chest. You'll grab onto either the thighs, the backs of your thighs, your shins, or your feet. Whatever you like. I'm going to grab onto my shins. Your legs are bent at about 90 degrees. The soles of your feet are up towards the ceiling. You're softening the knees down towards the ground. Opening up the legs, opening up the hips. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. And then from here, hug the knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. And release into our final posture, Shavasana, which is the same pose we started class with, where we're lying down on the mats. You can be on your back, on your belly, or on your side. Just make sure that you are comfortable. Take up lots of space on your mat. Take time to get comfortable. And take a moment here to be so very proud of yourself for making it this far in your practice, for making it to the very last pose. in your Shavasana, there is nothing that you need to do. There's nowhere to be, nowhere to go. Do your best to be right here with your breath and with yourself. It is common to think of what you are doing after your practice, maybe your grocery list, your to-do list, any responsibilities or things coming up in the week, something that you are worried about. Do your best to let that go for now. Know that you can come back to any of these things after your time on your mat. They will be there waiting for you. Allow your body to simply rest. Allow your mind to rest. Can you allow your thoughts to come and go? And just watch them. Let them be. Notice your breath. Feel each inhale. Feel each exhale. Notice how you are feeling right now, physically or emotionally. Just notice without judging or getting caught up in it. Very slowly begin to make some movements into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe you take a big stretch, reaching the arms up overhead, reaching long through fingers down to toes. Stretch long, take up space here. And then maybe, if it feels good, hug the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the legs. Take your time to come over onto one side, right or left, it doesn't matter. And then come to a seated position to finish class. Thank you so much for being here and for practicing with me. I look forward to connecting with you in the comment section of this video. Feel free to ask any questions. I would love to answer them. I will be posting a new video every Friday. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you subscribed, like this video, maybe share it with a friend. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.